and Katie tells me that Michael Sweet is calling in. What's up, buddy?
What's going on, man?
What are you doing calling the request line, man? Why don't you just text me?
Because I saw your tweet that said call in now.
Well, yeah, of course, I mean, for the listeners, but you can call in anytime you want.
I took it literally, though.
You did indeed. Do you know that I played your new record like 20 minutes ago?
I did not, but I do now. That's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, so your spider senses were tingling there because I played the opening track. I played Revelation maybe 20 minutes ago, and I said to everybody to pick up the new album from Stryper coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, I've been talking about this all day to my friends and tweeting about it, but man, my stomach is in knots. I don't know why I'm so nervous in a good way, but I'm nervous because we got the big record release tomorrow, and it feels like 1986 all over again.
You get nervous, huh?
Well, I am for this release.
Why so much for this one?
I don't know, because I guess there's so much anticipation and expectations and blah, blah, blah,
How long has it been since an all-new Stryper record?
Well, since an all-new Stryper record with the original lineup, it's been 22 years.
Wow, because I know the covering was a year or two ago, which I loved, but with Tim back in the band and all that, 22 years. So that explains the jitters a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. And again, that's the first time for an all-original with the all-original lineup. And, I've been saying, too, and I still believe this, I think it's our best album yet. And so far, all the reviews are coming out and saying the same thing. So, man, I don't know. It just feels so odd, again, in a good way.
And, well, the other thing, too, is that maybe some of your excitement and what have you about this is the fact that you produced this. I mean, this really is your baby in a lot of ways. So I don't know if that maybe added some extra pressure for, not only Michael Sweet, the guitarist, the singer, the writer, but now the producer for this record.
I think so. I think it maybe even subconsciously, but I do agree with you, and I think that's absolutely the case. And, it's very strange to me for some reason when a musician in the band, one of the guys in the band produces a record, it's not taken seriously by some people in certain circles. And, I've been living in studios my whole life and playing on my dad's sessions when I was a kid and whatnot. So, I've been wanting to, be seen as a producer for quite some time. So yeah, it's an exciting time for me as a producer too. You're absolutely right.
Well, the only people that you have to make sure to take it seriously as a producer is the other three guys you're producing, right?
Yeah, and you know what? You better call them and ask them if they do, because I don't know.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. How did that go in the studio when, especially, your brother's in the band? I mean, you got to talk to Tim and Oz. I mean, hey, do you think you could give me one more like this, or is there any kind of sideways looks?
Sometimes. I'd be a liar if I said otherwise. I mean, sometimes, most of the time, it's smooth sailing and it goes great. But then, yeah, there are those tricky times when Rob feels he has a good take and I say, let's do it again, and I get the sigh, or, but he always does it. He always plays ball, and sure enough, he delivers a better take, and then later on, he'll admit, yeah, okay, that was better. So, it's always nice to have that guy in the studio kind of leading the ship and making the calls, and sometimes, unfortunately, I'm the bad guy because of it.
Yeah, well, that's kind of the job of a good producer. I mean, you've got to be able to be, honest about how you're hearing things. I mean, I would think that's probably one of the hardest parts of that gig.
It is, man. It's one of the hardest parts, and then the other side of the coin that's difficult to pull off is to make sure you get everything within budget and you get good stuff within budget. So that's a little tricky sometimes too.
You guys. All four of you are fairly spread out around the country, if I'm not mistaken. I know that Oz lives in Vegas. You're on the East Coast. I'm not sure where Tim and Robert are, but how did you logistically, did you all get in the same room, or was it the old emailing tracks back and forth?
Well, yeah, Tim is in Nashville and Rob's in Vegas too, so we basically all live in different parts of the country. And the way we did it is I wrote the songs in a couple weeks, working off of my iPhone, a bunch of ideas, and then the guys came out here to my house, and I showed them the songs, and we spent 5 days recording them live. Then we did Monsters of Rock Cruise, and a few days after that, we went in the studio, April 2nd, I believe it was, and we started tracking, and that was it.
Yeah, you guys were killer on that cruise. You're on it again this year?
We're not on it this year,
Okay.
but we've been asked to come back for 15.
Okay.
We're that's a long ways away, man. I mean, what if we're doing the big Eddie Trunk event, in New York City or something?
Well, the next one won't be for 5 more years, so you're talking a really long time away. If God willing, I'm still standing. But
you will be.
We need to, I need to publicly, and this is going to be going on for a long time. My public thanks and acknowledgement to all the amazing musicians, yourself included, Michael, who were part of what was really an amazing rock night a couple weeks ago for the 30th anniversary of my radio show, and you belted out some UFO classics for me, man. It was awesome.
You know what, bud, and I'm not saying this because we're on air. I would say this regardless. I was pinching myself left and right, not just because I was standing there in the presence of, Ace Frehley and Peter Criss and, all these people, man, Lita Ford and Sammy Hagar and on and on and on. But, man, just the fact that, I was there celebrating your 30 years in radio, and the fact that you've always kind of supported us and stood by us and been there, it really was a pinch me moment for me. And thank you for having me, man. My gosh.
Well, listen, I mean, it was great to have you, and I appreciate you saying that. It was a special night across the board, and I know you're a big Kiss fan as well. For me, it was even though I've been friends with Ace and Peter for a long time, there were some issues between them, and for the two of those guys to say, let's go do this for Ed and let's go have some fun and play a couple songs. I mean, that's crazy stuff for me growing up as a kid with their posters on my wall, to have had that happen. Again, I've been friends with both of them over 25 years and we're close, but still to see that kind of happen. And what was really a lot of fun was seeing, guys like yourself and Scott Ian and all these other guys. They're just these huge Kiss fans just sitting there with their jaw open like, wow, I'm on this stage and this is happening. It was kind of surreal.
It was surreal, and it really was, truly. And, it shows you that that's, in the end, that's all that matters, is the love of what we do. Putting all the feuds aside, and, I've read some of the things Gene Simmons has said, and Ace Frehley, commented on Blabbermouth and whatnot, and you think, you read some of the feedback that's kind of disheartening and sad, but at the same time you think, well, you know what, the guys got up on the stage and performed together, and what an incredible thing to witness, to see them coming together and making music again, and that's why we do this, for the love of music, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, to be a fan, I mean, that's what it's about, and that's what I've always said. I mean, whether you agree with something, disagree, like a record, don't like a record, I mean, that whole debate and that whole back and forth is part of what being a fan is, and
right.
You shouldn't ever lose that. And that's why I love having, and a big part of what I do on this show is in addition to playing music, is the dialogue and the back and forth with the audience. I love that. I always want to be able to talk, and yeah, I'll take my hits when I have to take my hits for it, but I always want to be able to talk like this, the fan that I still am. If you get away from that, it just, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right to me. So it was fun seeing everybody in that place that night being a fan. And when you have Ace and Peter there, half of the original lineup of Kiss, and a guy like Sammy Hagar, who, I mean, I was a fan of since Montrose, and the fact that, I mean, he didn't hang and jam, but I mean, the fact that he made the effort to come and do the carpet and hang out for a little bit was crazy to me, because Sammy was a guy I was always such a huge fan of way before he had big success in the U.S. with breakthrough.
I looked over for a brief second because we were close enough to Halloween, and I thought maybe it was someone in a Sammy costume or something. I mean, I'm like, what? What is this? Sammy Hagar? And it was crazy. I mean, I'm a huge fan, too, of Sammy, of course.
Yeah.
But what a night. That was such a cool, special, unique, one-of-a-kind night.
Yeah, and there's so many people we're not even mentioning. It's funny, we just mentioned Lita, and Lita actually just emailed me a second ago as I'm talking to you. But, I mean, it's just so incredibly cool to have had all these people under one roof and just having fun. And like you said, being a fan. And there's tons more we didn't even get a chance to mention. Mike Portnoy putting these jams together for me was amazing. And Billy Sheehan up there. I mean, Peter Criss was excited to play with Billy Sheehan, you know. So it all goes around. Everybody's a fan of somebody. Tony Harnell, all these guys, Bumblefoot. It goes on and on.
French, Jeff Tate, just tons of people.
Blitz, Steve Brown, it's on and on. We just had so much fun. And, you know, it was all recorded. I know Portnoy played me some rough mixes. He recorded it. So I'm not sure what's going to become of that. I guess when he gets off the road, we'll take a look and see what's what and what we can do with it. Maybe if the publishing and stuff could be cleared and everybody was happy with the mixes, we could do something where, you know, we put it out and sell it for some charity or something like that. That would be kind of cool.
That'd be amazing, man. As long as you guys let me go back in the studio and fix my incredibly sharp notes on lifestyle.
No. Now. We got to keep it live. Warts and all, as the British say, Michael. And I don't think I think your notes were just fine. I think your notes were just fine. I don't very rarely hear you hit any bad notes. I think you're good in that department.
Coming from you and being a UFO fan, I'll take that.
So listen, man, I'll let you run, but tell me again, the new album from Stryper is out tomorrow. No More Hell to Pay. You can get it everywhere, physical, digital. And what's the plan going forward? Are you routing a full tour? They're going to be kind of one-offs. What's the game plan?
It's a little bit of an unusual plan, and we just released our #2 video today for a song called Sympathy. It's an exclusive at USA Today, and you'll be able to, everyone go on YouTube and check it out. So we released the 2 videos, and then we're taking the holidays off. We're doing a live record DVD out at the Whiskey on the 16th. Then we take the holidays off. Then I start recording a record with George Lynch, Brian Tichy, and James Lomenzo. And we turn that in, and then in April, Stryper hits the ground running for this album. So it's a little ways down the road, but we're going to do extensive touring throughout 2014.
What is that band with Lynch? I mean, because you were supposed to be a part of the TNN thing. Is that still happening, or is this different?
No, that's still happening. It's just a matter of when is it. I mean, they were talking about doing a tour this year. That obviously didn't happen. But I was approached by Frontiers to put together a, quote-unquote supergroup, and George Lynch got pulled into it, which I'm really thrilled about. And Brian Tichy and James Lomenzo, I'm producing that as well. And George and I are co-writing for it, and it's going to be just a real, rock record, man, retro rock record, and it's going to be in your face, and I'm excited. It's going to be killer.
Is there a name for that?
No name yet, but once we have it, everybody will know, and it'll be coming out next year. We'll turn it in by April of next year, and I'd say it'd be out by probably July or August of next year.
That's a great band. I can't wait for that as well. And you mentioned the Stryper live recording from the Whiskey?
Yeah, we're doing a live DVD and record at the Whiskey. We shoot and record on the 16th, turn that in mid-December, and that'll probably come out around March or April of next year.
Did Stryper, did you have a big history playing the Whiskey when you were young, coming up on that scene?
We did, man. My first experience at the Whiskey is when I was 16 years old. I was using too much hairspray backstage, and Kevin DeBro kicked the door open and said, "Why do you got to use so much effing hairspray for?" And I'll never forget that, man. And that was my first experience there. And we were a band regime at the time.
Right.
And, that's when we were just using literally, a case of Aquanet Extra Super Hold. I don't use it anymore. My brother does, though.
Your brother does. I've seen him put it on at the cruise with the wind blowing on the deck.
And you know what? It keeps his hair from blowing.
It does. It's perfectly coiffed every time, man. It's pretty amazing. But I would imagine that the Whiskey has some special memories for you. So to do the live thing there would be pretty cool. I would think.
So many. I mean, we go way back with the Whiskey, and it's going to be cool and an intimate show. And hopefully a sold-out show and a fun show. We're going to have a blast.
Well, listen, man, it's always good to hear from you, and I'm going to, I played a track from the record a little earlier, and I'll actually, since you said the video just came out, let's do Sympathy for everybody right now as I let you run.
Eddie, thank you, man, for everything, and thanks for having me on, man. I had no idea. I thought you guys would just think I was some, creep or something.
Well, you're calling, not to say that anybody on my request lines is a creep, but normally people that I know, like yourself, would text me and say, "Hey man, can I come on for a minute?" And Katie just said, "Michael Sweet's calling." I'm like, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, but he's on the request line." And I'm like, "Well, make sure it's really him and not a Michael Sweet impersonator." But
it's really me. You do believe that?
I do believe that. Yeah, that's all good. But text me so I know you're calling, and you're welcome on anytime, bud.
All right, brother.
All right, man. Well, listen. Good luck with the record, and get some sleep tonight. All right, it'll be fine.
I will.
Say hi to your wife. I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, man. See you later.
See you, man. Bye.